All right, friends, so let's get busy with our project. These are all the things that I've asked you to get. I have some nice magazine colors here that I got from a magazine. I cut out this picture of flowers because I think I'm going to use this as the base for my project, and we'll get to that in a minute. I have some white coffee filters. If you have the brown coffee filters, I think those would be fine too. I just have these white ones. I really like them because they're such a nice thin but sturdy material. I have some newspaper. I found this because I think it's kind of a cool texture or grid or just kind of design element that I can use in my background. And I also have some other newspaper that I might use as well. So I'm just going to put that to the side. I've already started rubbing my leaves, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute. I have some nice leaves here. I really want to find someone that have the veins, you can really feel the veins. And I also have my paper bag. Now I've cut that up, as you can see, because it's not a bag anymore. And I was kind of fortunate. I went to a co-op in Wisconsin, and they have these really cool bags that has this texture down here, and I thought, oh my gosh, this will be perfect for my project. So I'm going to start with that today. And so what I did first, friends, is I just cut my bag down to a size. I don't want to make it too small because then it'll make it hard for me kind of to create my composition with some of these bigger leaves. So I just made it. It's probably like 8 by 10 inches or so, roughly, all right? But so I just started with this background. And then what I did, as you can see here, is I used newspaper to kind of cover up this business here that I didn't want. And what I did is I divided the paper up, so like this is would be like the wall, and this may be the table that I have the vase of my leaves sitting on. So that was a kind of a cool way for me to divide things. Now, one way that I like to tell kids to kind of work on craftsmanship is you can see how this is sticking out. So once I have it glued on there, what I do is I just turn it over and I just trim it off, and you're left with a nice clean edge, just like that. So there's the start to my background. Now I want to add some other information on here, right? I don't want to just leave it newspaper and paper bag. So this is where I can use some of my watercolor type markers and things like that to help maybe create some more color or just some interesting things in the background. And I don't necessarily have to always watercolor them when I use them, but I'm just going to add kind of a dividing line here. This is a real division of like, let's say, table and wall. And then I'm just going to add some more design back here. Maybe what I'm going to do is just add some stripes. I love stripes, so I might just add some stripes here. And it just adds something a little more interesting than just the plain newspaper background. And of course, I could go and paint this again. I could paint these lines to make them kind of run a little bit if I wanted to, or I can just leave it. It's all up to you. This is also something I could do with my crayons, right? Or whatever material that you have. You just want to kind of add a little bit more pizzazz to your background. All right, so there, I'm done with that. And I think I'm going to find another color. And that is the same exact color. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit more. So maybe I'll add another stripe. And it could just be like some funky wallpaper or what have you. If I wanted to, I could keep going, excuse me, in this pattern, and I could end up making like a rainbow. But I am just gonna leave it like this for now. Down here, what I'm gonna do is I am gonna take a darker marker, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Sharpie marker, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my lines more at an angle. So it shows the difference between the two surfaces, the wall and the table. So I'm just gonna start at this corner here, and I'm gonna also try to find one that works. I'm just gonna use my Crayola. Anyway. So I'm just gonna start going at an angle, and I'm gonna have them kind of all touch. And you can put them really close together, or you can put them further apart. It's all up to you. But you can see what I'm doing here, friends, is I'm just kind of making, could be almost like a wood grain in a table, but I am just changing up the surfaces. Excuse me, I have a little frog in my throat this morning. I'm just changing up the surfaces to make them a wee bit more interesting. So when I have my background all done, I can always add more information to it once I start doing all the other stuff next week. But this is what I'm going to do so far, all right? So I'm just gonna put this aside. Now let's talk about doing leaf rubbings. You can see I have my paper towel, coffee filters here. But you guys, I was just thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I know a lot of us have paper towels probably, and I was just thinking, let's try this. So I haven't tried it yet, so we can experiment together. But I just want to talk to you first about making your leaf rubbings. So what I have here are these leaves, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure, you can see there's kind of a smooth side that looks like that, and then there's kind of the veiny side. You want to have the veiny side facing up, just like that, all right? Now if you want to, you could take a piece of tape and you could tape it down. And I recommend that if you don't have someone to give you a helping hand with the rubbing part. So then I'm going to just smooth my coffee filter or my paper towel down on top of it. The next thing I've done is I've peeled off a little bit of my wrapper from my crayon, and then I broke it off so that I have a nice surface to rub with. It's kind of hard to get a good rubbing when you're using the tip of your crayon. You want to use the flat side of it, or the whole side of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this down with one hand, and I am going to rub away from the leaf. And it's going to look something like this. And now I'm going to rotate and move my hand, but I'm always making sure that my piece of paper is secure. All right? And I'm just going to keep going all around to make sure that I get those veins really emphasized. All right? And all this other stuff around here, it's not a big deal. So let's try that again with, let's say, a paper towel. All right? So again, I have it taped down. I'm going to take a color of crayon. Once again, this is purple. I've peeled it away. And once again, I'm going to start holding and coloring. Now I'm putting down some good pressure here, all right? But I want to go in one direction. I don't want to go like this, because what will happen is you'll crinkle up your paper towel and rip it, or you'll crinkle up your coffee filter and rip it. I want to show you what happens when you use the tip of your crayon instead of the side. You still get a fairly good rubbing, right? But it doesn't create a lot of the contrast that we want, because what we're going to do is we're going to paint this leaf, all right? Now, you can see what happens. My leaf kind of ripped here, so I won't be able to use that leaf again. All right, so let's do some painting, all right? And what I'm going to do when I paint is I'm going to use my washable markers, and when I color in here, I don't have to color in the whole thing, remember? But when I color in, I'm using the side of my marker, and I'm also finding a color that could be very, very different from the color that I use to color my leaf. So it's that whole idea of creating emphasis, all right? So I'm going to get my Q-tip wet here, and now I'm just going to carefully, especially when you are working now with your paper towel, all right, or your diffuse paper, you don't want to scrub too much. And once again, I am going to brush out toward the outside of my project. Now, if the yellow gets to the outside, I don't mind. I kind of like the way that looks. We're going to be cutting these out later, so that's what that looks like. Now, I'm going to let that dry. We're going to cut these out next week. You're going to notice that you have a little bit of water and stuff on your paper, but this is what it will look like. My paper towel ones, I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen here. I'm going to take a pink marker here, and let's just see what happens. I've never done this before, friends, so I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen. Could be epic, or it could be an epic not so good thing, and then we can just go back and mess with it a little bit. All right, so here's my cotton swab, and once again I am just going to dab the color. Now I'm going to tell you what I'm noticing right now with these paper towels is that really all I can do is kind of dab, because otherwise this paper towel is going to rip. Now the reason why I chose a paper towel is because look at these kind of cool textures that are in here from the paper towel. I really like the way that looks, and I just wanted to try an experiment to see what could happen. Now, if I want to add more color to this, this is really, really important. I need to let this completely dry first, because this paper towel, friends, is super fragile right now, all right? So you can see now what that kind of looks like. We're just adding some color. Notice the emphasis or the difference or the contrast between the two colors. That's really what we're going for, all right? So I want you to try to create anywhere between 5 and 7 leaves like this. Different sizes. They don't all have to be the same size. They don't all have to be the same size leaf. So I'll go back and I will paint all these so I can be ready for next week. So today, what you're doing is you're creating your background like we did here. We are creating 5 to 7 different leaves. You can do more than that if you want to. And we're just getting ready so we can put everything together next week. All right, friends, I hope you have a wonderful day and that you have a great time putting this project together. I can't wait to see what your backgrounds are going to look like. Remember to take a picture and send it to me. Take care, be well, talk to you soon.